Good morning, children. In today's class, we are going to study what is the cause of friction. See, in last class, we have studied what is friction and how it is happening, everything. So, in today's class, now we are going to study what is the reason for causing of this friction. Understanding how this friction came in between two objects. This is all everything clearly we are going to study. So, now if it comes to any kind of object, if we'll consider every object has a rough surface. I will say that even though if you'll see that though the surface may appears to be smooth to the naked eye, means if you'll observe any kind of surface, suppose I have seen some object with my naked eye, if I have observed that its surface is very smooth, means with my naked eye I have feel that it is to be smooth with my naked eye, but I will say that every object has a rough surface. So when we see through a microscope, it is found that the surface of all the objects have rough edges. Rough edges. Are you able to clear? Even though the object which will look to be smooth with the naked eye, if we'll observe with a microscope, definitely it is having some kind of rough edges. Understanding means some kind of small ups and downs, at least minimum. Okay, so the particles on the surface of these objects are in the form of tiny hills. You can see that ups and downs, tiny hills, very small hills. Understanding? If it is too much rough, then it will be having a big roughs. Okay, I'm saying you what? If you'll observe, even though the surface which is appears to be smooth, if you'll observe through microscope, some of the particles on the surface of the objects are in the form of tiny hills. Understand? While others from grooves. Okay, so while others from grooves, so the particles on the surface of objects are in the form of a small kind of tiny hills. Understanding? While others from grooves, so means one is down and another one is up, like that it will be having. So now the tiny hills and grooves on the surfaces of objects are called irregularities of surfaces. What we used to call? See, hills means ups and grooves means downs. Ups means hills, downs means grooves. So every surface is having some hills and grooves on the surface of objects. So these hills and grooves are called as irregularities of surfaces. IRR, irregularities. Understanding? RALARITIES, irregularities of surfaces. So what is the irregularities of the surfaces? Hills and grooves of an object, surface of an object is called as irregularities of surfaces. Now, when we try to move one object over another object, understanding? So the irregularities present on the surfaces get entangled each other. Understanding? Get entangled. So what is the meaning of entangle? ENTANGLED. Entangle means locked each other. Locked each other. Like gear system. Suppose if you take some kind of wheel, it is having a gear kind of like this. And now another wheel will come and will be easily adjusting. So it is having another kind of a gear system which will be fitting in between these holes. Is it correct or not? So like this, two wheels will be rotating one after one. So now here, both are interlocking. See, this edge, this hill and this groove. And here for this wheel, this is hill and this is groove. So both are here interlocking. So like that, if any kind of two surfaces, understanding, two objects, if you're trying to understand, when we try to move one object over another object, suppose if you take, let me take my hands only. This is my one hand and this is my another hand. So now if I'll try to move one object over another object, so whatever the irregularities, it may be a very big or it may be very small, means hills and grooves, what is going to happen? They both present in between the surfaces, they will get entangled. Entangled means they will get locked like this. Understanding? So it is not like a very strong lock. Definitely it will reduces the motion, slow down the motion. So with one another they will lock each other. That is only called as entangle. Okay. So the interlocking of these irregularities of the two surfaces opposes the motion of one object over the other and gives rise to A force of friction. Are you able to understand it? So when this interlocking will be happen, then what is going to happen? Then they both will opposes the motion of one object over the other and gives rise to the force. That force is called as force of friction. So from this I can say that a friction is caused by, understanding, friction is caused by the interlocking of irregularities in the surfaces of two objects which are in contact with each other. Understand? So that is why I'm saying you. So this friction is always causes when two bodies are in contact with each other. Understanding? Suppose these are the two bodies moving, understanding, each over one another. Okay. So now when they are moving like this, so due to their irregularities, they both will lock like this. So here see, motion is slowed down or not? It is reducing. There, opposing the motion of one another. So what is going to happen? So this is only called as the force of friction. Understand? So when the motion of one object over the other object, they will slow down. Understanding? They slow down the motion. So this gives rise to the force of friction. So from this I can say that friction is caused by the interlocking of irregularities, means hills and grooves. Hills and grooves. You just write hills and grooves. So what is going to happen? So due to this, the motion of objects or each understand one another with one another will be slowed down. So the interlocking of irregularities in the surfaces of the two objects which are in contact with each other, that is only called as friction. Okay. So now we attempt to move one object over the other. We have to apply some kind of force to overcome interlocking of the irregularities in the surfaces. Understand? Suppose one surface is present, if another object is present. Now if you want to create a motion in this object, you have to overcome. Understand? We have to apply some amount of force, external force, to overcome this interlocking of the irregularities in the surfaces. Understand? Suppose more the roughness of a surface, larger is the number of irregularities on its surfaces, and hence greater will be the friction. So if this hills and grooves are increasing size, understanding, roughness is increasing more, means then the interlocking will be more. Then we have to apply large amount of force, because the friction created by that system, understand, two surfaces will be increasing. So from this I can say that the force of friction is greater if very rough surfaces are involved. Understand? So now let me take, for example, I'm going to draw some kind of a figure now. You can understand it. Let me take two kinds of wooden surfaces. Okay. So now wooden blocks. I'm having two wooden blocks. One is block A and second one is block B. Now let me consider this is block A and this is block B. This is block B and this is block A. Now I am placing their macroscopic image. See, if friction arises due to irregularities in the surfaces of objects. Now, even if you touch the wooden surface, you will feel that it is not a polished surface. It is it may be from the naked eye, if you will see that it is very smooth, but it is not. Correct or not? So, I will keep a magnified diagram of the surfaces of two wooden blocks, A and B. Understanding? Kept one over the other. So now let me take one big block that is called as B block. It's a magnified image. If you'll observe the magnified image of this surface, it will be looking like more hills and grooves. Now I'm going to place another object called as wooden block A, which is also a magnified image. This is block B and this is block A. Okay. So now here what it is, this is called as irregularities of surfaces, and this is what, wooden block B, and this is wooden block A. Now what I'm doing to do, I need to create a motion in wooden block A. Means I need to pull the wooden block A through wooden block B. Means from the surfaces of wooden block B. So now what I'm saying, the force of friction is greater if very rough surfaces are involved. So if you'll observe here, the surface is very, very rough. So the friction creating by, means if the surfaces are more irregularities, then the interlocking is very high. So we have to apply large amount of force, to overcome this interlocking of the irregularities of their surfaces. Now, what I am saying, let me take two wooden blocks, block A and block B, kept one over the other. Understand, here you please note that rough surface of these wooden blocks having a lot of irregularities. Understanding? So now, when we pull the upper wooden block A, upper wooden block means what? A, over the wooden block B by applying some amount of force, then the irregularities of the rough surfaces they will get entangled. Means if we keep the normally wooden block A and wooden block B, nothing will be happen. Some amount of some interlocking will be takes place. So frictional force may be very less. Now, if we trying to understanding what I'm saying, when we are trying to pull the upper wooden block A, understanding, over the lower wooden block B, then what is going to happen? These irregularities of the rough surfaces, they will get entangled with, understanding, they will get locked with one another. So this interlocking of surfaces gives rise to a force of friction which opposes the motion of upper block A, which is opposes the motion of upper block A over the lower block B. So when we are able to move block A over block B, because we apply a sufficient muscular force while pulling to undo the interlocking of surfaces and overcome the opposing frictional force. Understand? So if we try to pull, we can easily will pull this, but whatever the force we are applying to pull this block A over the block B, that is even more sufficient. That muscular force is more than the interlocking, means the frictional force is creating between these two surfaces. That is why this block is moving. If not, it cannot be. So that is why always you have to apply more amount of force, more than the frictional force of friction. Then only we can pull this object. So the block A moves over block B only when the pulling force applied by us becomes greater than the force of friction holding them together. So whatever the frictional force of friction which is holding in between them, it must be lesser than our muscular force, or else we have to apply the understanding greater than the force of friction. The pulling force applied by us, the pulling force, the pulling force must be, understanding, a greater applied by us becomes greater than the force of friction which is holding in between these blocks together. So then only block A moves over block B. So friction is small for smooth surfaces like glass and ice. I'm not saying that the glass and ice surfaces are very polished smooth. There is no friction. There also something will be, some kind of interlockings will be present. So, but there it is almost very less hills, small hills and grooves. So here the force of friction is less. Okay, like that if it comes to the friction is much greater for rough surfaces. Like suppose if you take sandpaper, understanding, sandpaper we know that we used to in the construction time, during construction and all we used to use. So sandpaper, and if you take the concrete, understanding, concrete or tar road or something, so these all very rough surfaces. So here the force of friction is very high. Understand? So now this is about a cause of friction. So what is the cause of friction? Cause of friction is the, what is that? The hills and grooves of our surface of a objects. Means what? The interlocking irregularities of their surface, rough surfaces, is the reason for cause of friction. So if the irregularities is more, a frictional force, so the force of friction created by the two objects is high. If the surface is less irregularities, then the frictional force is also less. Understanding? So frictional force is only causing when the two bodies are contact with each other. Understanding? So now this is about a cause of friction. Now we are going to study the next important one is understanding. So before going to further, we need to know something, some in detail about some particular instrument. That instrument called as spring balance. So if we know the what is spring balance and how to measure and all, then later we'll study some kind of experiments with the spring balance. Okay, so now before we go further, we should know what a spring balance understanding, because it will be used to perform some activities based on friction. So that is why you need to know what is spring balance. So spring balance will be basically, I will draw the diagram, you try to understand. So this is basically the spring balance will be one hanger. It is having one hanger and it will be like looking like a rectangle. Understanding. So here, if you'll observe, middle it will be having some kind of opening. Understanding. So here, one kind of a wounded ring will be present. What it is? One kind of wounded ring will be present. Understanding. So for that, it is having some kind of hook also. It is having some kind of hook. Now this side it is having a understanding. So some kind of measurement that will be in the form of force. Understanding. So what is the force? So force means understanding. We can say in the case of friction. So force, the units of force is newtons. Okay, you just remember, like weight, mass. What is the mass unit? Mass is to measure in kg. Like weight is also basically, you don't know the difference between mass and weight. So for till now, your stage, you just remember both will be measured in kg. So like that, force is also measured in newtons. So Newton is the unit of force. You have to remember. So here, you remember, we are having some applications of this spring balance because we are going to do some activities based on the friction. So that is why you need to know what is a spring balance. So a spring balance is a device which is used for measuring force acting on an object. Force acting on an object. So here it will be present like 0 newtons, understanding 50 newtons, 100 newtons, 150 newtons, 200 newtons, understanding 250 newtons, like that it will be measurement. Okay, so now what is spring balance? Spring balance is a device which is used for measuring, understanding, which is used for measuring force acting on an object. Force acting on an object, that is called as force. Understanding on an object. So this spring balance contain a coiled spring which gets stretched when a force is applied to its free end having a hook. Are you able to understand it? So it is having a coiled spring. If you'll observe inside, it will be in a background. I am saying you that is why. So it is having some kind of coiled spring. So what is going to happen if some kind of weight, understanding, which will be hanged to this hook, external hook, then automatically this it will get stretched. Understanding. So any kind of force is applied on this spring. What is going to happen? This hook, this spring will start stretching. Understanding. When it is is any kind of force is applied to its free end. So the extent by which, are you able to understand? So the extent by which the spring gets stretched is a measure of the force applied. Understanding. Suppose basically the spring will be in 0. If you are not hanging any kind of external force here, the spring will be in 0. So this will be continuing external hook. Now, if I added some kind of weight or else something force. So this force, what is going to happen? How I know how much amount of force I applied? So if you apply some kind of external force on this, some force on this external hook. So what is going to happen? This spring will start stretching. Means suppose it will start stretching till 150, then the force is 150 newtons. So then applied force is 150 newtons. Applied force is 150 newtons. Like that, if it will stretch more, then it will be stretching less. Suppose it will stretch till less, 50 only, then the applied force is 50 newtons. So like that you have to mention. What is I'm saying? It is having some kind of a coiled spring inside, like a normal spring, so like a stretching spring. So if you apply the force, the spring will stretch. If you leave it, again it will come to its original state. So the coiled spring which get stretched when a force is applied to its free end having a hook. So this is called as hook for hanger, understanding, for seeing the weights and all. So the extent by which the spring get stretched, it may be large or it may be small, which get stretched is a measure of the force applied. Is a measure of the force applied. Understanding, force applied. So the stretching of spring or magnitude of force is indicated by a pointer attached to the spring which moves on a graduated scale. So here we are having some kind of pointer, means like external. So this is the spring, let me imagine. So now it is having some kind of pointer here, outer surface, like this it will be present. So this pointer will indicates the, understand it. So depend upon the weight or force applied, the spring will stretch it. So this stretching of spring or magnitude of force is indicated by a pointer attached to the spring which moves on a graduated scale. Understanding? So it will come slow down and it will going up. Understand? If you apply more amount of force, it will be stretching more. So like that it will be. Here it is having some kind of pointer to its. Understand? So means it will be looking like something, some kind of iron piece or something which will be coming out. That is only called as pointer. So once once we will go to our lab, I will show you what is everything pointer and all. So the stretching of spring or magnitude of force is indicated by a pointer attached to the spring which moves on a graduated scale. So the reading on the scale of a spring balance, understanding, gives us the magnitude of force. Understanding what it is? It will give the magnitude of force. So what is the magnitude here? Magnitude means suppose the string will stretch and this pointer means some external object, external surface which will indicating. Suppose now here pointer is at 150 Newton. So the magnitude, the magnitude of force is 150 Newton. So Newton is what? Newton means it is a force, unit of force. And here what is 150? 150 is called as magnitude. Understanding? Means the number of times. What is magnitude means? The number of times the same unit is repeating. How many number of times the same unit is repeating, then that number is called as magnitude. And this is called as unit. Next one is called as unit. So here Newton is repeating 150 times. Suppose if I'll write 10 kg. So kg is the unit of mass and 10 is the magnitude. Means I am considering the 1 unit 10 times. Means I am considering 1 kg of mass 10 times, then it is called as the magnitude of mass is 10 kg. So like that, by the position of the indicating by the position of pointer, we will gives us the magnitude of force. Understanding? So when the spring balance is held vertically like this is called as vertically and this is called as horizontal. So when we are hanging like this vertically, understanding? So then it is said to measure the weight of an object. Understanding? When we are hanging vertically, then it is measured what? It is weight of an object. Understanding? So that is why I can say that, because weight of an object is also called as force. So weight of an object is called as what? Force. That is why when we are basically, if you are hanging vertically, then it will gives us force. What it is? A weight of an object. So that weight means what? Weight of an object, it is also a force. So suppose like, and when a spring balance is held horizontally like this, means what? When we are placed one object in another object and we are trying to pull that object, understanding with the how much amount of force we are applying, we don't know. So now we will tie that top object to this spring balance and we'll try to apply the force. Then we can see that how much amount of force we are applying. So when the spring balance is held horizontally like this, understanding, which is attached to an object and we are trying to pull. Now suppose this is my object, let me imagine. Now for this I am pulling over this duster. Now I need to know that how much amount of force is required to pull this object, pull this form. So now what I'm going to do, I will tie some kind of the strong thread and I will hang to this hook of a spring balance, and I will try to stretch like this horizontally, not vertically. Understanding? So horizontally. So then what is going to happen? It can be caused to measure the force being applied to pull the object on a horizontal surface. Okay. So if you'll hang the vertically, it will give the weight of an object. If you'll hang it vertically, horizontally, and if you're trying to stretch, then understanding, it will gives the required amount of force. Understanding? Attach it to an object, and if you pull it, it will be used to measure the force being applied to pull the object on a horizontal surface. So this is about a spring balance. So with this, I'm going to end this today's class. In next class, we are going to study what are the factors affecting friction. Understanding. So how this friction will changes. We know already if the interlocking will be increases, friction also increases. If surface is smooth, then frictional force is less. Like that, we'll study what are the factors affecting friction, everything in detail in the next class. Thank you.